In the vast expanse of the universe, where millions of stars shine like beacons in the void, a mysterious conference takes place regularly, far beyond Earth's reach. The Galactic Alliance Summit, a gathering of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, serves as a platform for dialogue, cultural exchange, and the shaping of interstellar peace and progress. Ambassador Liam Ryder, chosen not only for his diplomatic skills but also for his courage and insatiable curiosity, received an invitation to this extraordinary event. Among the rare and coveted invitations sent out, the 54th Summit stood out for one unique highlight: the Intergalactic Culinary Festival. Each species was tasked with presenting a traditional dish, a showcase of their cultural identity. Yet, beneath the colorful splendor of the feast lay hidden challenges and whispered legends about dishes that had claimed the lives of daring participants in the past. As Ryder set foot on the central planet hosting the summit, he was unaware that his choices here would not only transform the galaxy's perception of Earth but also carve a new chapter in the history of interstellar relations. Would Ryder's courage and curiosity lead to triumph, or would he become yet another cautionary tale in the annals of cosmic legends? By the 28th century, Earth was no longer an isolated planet adrift in the sea of stars. After centuries of conflict, a fragile peace among the worlds had been established through the Galactic Alliance Summit. This event, the most significant diplomatic gathering in the universe, brought together civilizations from across the galaxy to discuss peace, trade, and cultural exchange. As Earth's representative, Ambassador Liam Ryder had attended these summits many times. However, the 54th Summit promised an unprecedented surprise. This time, the invitation was accompanied by a video from the planet Oronus, the host of the event. The footage showcased beings of every imaginable shape and size joyfully partaking in the Intergalactic Culinary Festival, a highlight the organizers emphasized would be the centerpiece of this year's summit. Vibrant, glowing, or smoking dishes were arranged on endless banquet tables, presented as symbols of cultural diversity. A soft yet commanding voice narrated, "Peace is not achieved through words alone but through flavors as well." Liam Ryder, a lover of gastronomy and an enthusiast for alien cultures, was immediately intrigued. As an experienced diplomat, he understood that food represented more than sustenance. It was a story of history, values, and the philosophies of each civilization. Yet, he couldn't shake a slight unease upon learning of the festival's unspoken rule: every delegate was required to taste every dish served, with no exceptions. Ryder allowed himself a wry, nervous smile. He'd heard tales of past festivals, of dishes that challenged not just palates but the very survival of those bold enough to partake. On the eve of his departure, Ryder gazed out at the star-filled sky through the window of his personal spacecraft. The radiant light of Oronus' primary star, the site of the summit, filled him with wonder about what lay ahead. For Ryder, this summit was not just a professional obligation but an opportunity to expand his knowledge and leave a lasting mark on interstellar diplomacy. Deep within, a hopeful question stirred: could this event offer something monumental, perhaps a genuine breakthrough for galactic peace? Ryder's spacecraft landed on a vast plain blanketed with bioluminescent flora, glowing softly in the twilight. Massive transparent pavilions dotted the landscape, their structures revealing the starry heavens above. Around him, creatures of breathtaking diversity mingled among the festival stalls, each carrying a unique cultural essence. Some had skin that shifted colors like living prisms, while others wore organic armor resembling the shells of enormous insects. Amid the bustling crowd, Ryder, clad in a sleek black diplomatic suit, appeared both unassuming and distinctly remarkable. At the opening ceremony, a representative from Oronus took to the stage, a slender figure with ethereal, softly glowing wings. "Welcome to Oronus, the heart of interstellar peace," the being's voice resonated, amplified by translation devices. Our culinary festival is more than a chance to share flavors, it is an opportunity to discover each other's souls through every dish. Taste, feel, and let your heart open. From the very first moments, Ryder felt the magnetic allure of the event. One particular stall from the planet Zyndar, shrouded in mist and flickering light emanating from its dishes, caught his eye. He sensed that this stall would become the focal point of a journey unlike any he had ever undertaken. But that was still a story for later chapters. For now, Ryder simply wanted to stroll through the crowd, marvel at the grandeur of the universe unfolding before him, and ready himself for the surprises awaiting him. As Liam Ryder entered the main area of the festival, he was immediately overwhelmed by the diversity and wonder of the foods from all over the galaxy. Dozens of brightly lit stalls, emitting a variety of strange and enticing aromas, filled the air with a mysterious yet exhilarating atmosphere. Some dishes glowed with a soft green light, others seemed to move on their own on the plates, while some emitted a cold, misty vapor. But amidst all the peculiarities, Ryder's gaze was drawn to one particular stall. This stall stood out for its simplicity, with a gray stone table and a small sign written in Galactic Standard, "Eternal Flame, a Legacy of Zyndar." There were no flashing lights or bizarre smells, but an overwhelming stillness surrounded it, as if standing before some ancient mystery. Behind the counter stood a Zyndar, tall and imposing, with skin as black as night and red veins like flowing magma beneath its epidermis. Its eyes were entirely black, devoid of sclera, and glowed like two fiery pits. The Zyndar bowed slightly, its deep voice echoing through the translation device, "Welcome, Ambassador of Earth. Would you like to try a dish that only the strongest souls in the galaxy dare to touch?" Ryder took a small step back, not out of fear, but because he could feel the weight of the question. Before he could respond, the Zyndar pointed to a small cauldron on the table. Inside, a deep red liquid was boiling furiously, glowing with an eerie, flickering light like fire in the dark. "This is Eternal Flame, our sacred dish. It is made from the sap of the fire root tree, a plant that only grows on the active volcanoes of Zyndar. It is said that only those with an unwavering soul and indomitable will can survive its challenge." Ryder leaned in, listening intently. The Zyndar continued, "The sap contains a unique compound that, when combined with volcanic heat, creates a powerful chemical reaction. When eaten, the body will experience an intense burning sensation, but it is not the body that is tested, it is the mind. If you lack the strength of will, this dish will destroy your mind from the inside out." The warning made Ryder pause. He recalled the stories he'd heard about past events. Delegates from other planets had bravely tried this dish, but the price they paid had been too great. Some could not endure the pain and lost consciousness forever. The few survivors had undergone profound changes. They spoke of surreal experiences, strange hallucinations, and the sensation of being pulled into another reality. "So, will you try it?" the Zyndar asked, its gaze seeming to pierce through Ryder's very soul. Ryder was silent for a moment. This was not just about eating a dish. This was a test, an opportunity to prove Earth's strength not through weapons or technology, but through willpower. He was not just representing himself, but an entire civilization. "I will try," Ryder replied, his voice unwavering with determination. The Zyndar nodded. "Good. But remember, no one is forcing you. You can leave at any time." It then handed Ryder a small bowl containing the Eternal Flame. The liquid inside was still bubbling, releasing heat that warped the air around it. All eyes from the surrounding delegates turned toward Ryder. Whispers filled the air, some in awe, others mocking. Who does this earthling think he is, challenging Zyndar's dish? Ryder took the bowl, the heat from the eternal flame spreading through his hands. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. In that moment, he recalled the lessons from his parents about not fearing the unknown, remembered the sacrifices made by his comrades and humanity to reach this position in the Galactic Alliance. This wasn't just about him, it was about Earth's pride. He raised the bowl to his lips and took a small sip. Immediately, a searing pain tore through every cell in his mouth, spreading down his throat and into his chest. Ryder felt as if he had swallowed molten lava. But the physical pain was just the beginning. The strange liquid seemed to trigger something deep within his mind. Ryder found himself falling into another world, where every emotion, memory, and fear was magnified 100-fold. He saw shadowy figures from his past, failures, the pain of loss, and the tough decisions he had made. But instead of collapsing, Ryder stood firm. He focused on the light of the present, on the reason he was here. Gradually, the darkness began to fade, and a sense of peace washed over his mind. When he opened his eyes, Ryder realized he was standing in the midst of absolute silence. All eyes were on him, astonished, respectful, and a little fearful. The Zyndar approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've overcome it? Your soul is truly strong. Earth can be proud to have a representative like you." Ryder smiled, feeling as though he had crossed a new threshold in his own journey. But he also knew that this challenge wasn't just for him, it was a lesson for all those who dared to face the impossible. Liam Ryder slowly walked through the vibrant, bustling space of the Intergalactic Festival, feeling the diversity and complexity of the galactic civilization around him. Each stall was a story, a piece of history and culture wrapped up in flavor. But the space around him seemed to fade as his eyes were drawn toward a unique booth in the distance, where a bright red flame flickered as if it were alive. It was the booth of the Zyndar, one of the most mysterious and terrifying species in the galaxy. Known for their harsh culture and ability to survive in the most extreme environments, the Zyndar valued mental strength above all else. In the center of the booth was a black stone table, upon which sat a small cauldron filled with a fiery red liquid, bubbling like molten lava. A small sign, written in galactic standard, simply read, "Eternal Flame, the challenge of the soul." Ryder paused, his gaze fixated on the cauldron. The stories he'd heard echoed in his mind. The eternal flame was not just a dish, it was a symbol of the Zyndar's unyielding spirit. They believed that this food was not for enjoyment, but for testing the limits of one's will. Very few dared to try it, and those who did often never completed it. Delegates who had failed before spoke of the burning pain from the dish, not just as physical agony, but as an attack on the deepest recesses of the mind, where all fears and weaknesses were laid bare. A tall Zyndar with jet black skin and veins of red like flowing magma stood behind the counter, looking at Ryder with eyes that had no whites, just two glowing golden orbs. "Do you wish to test yourself with the eternal flame?" His voice resonated through the translator, deep and cold, but with an undeniable challenge. "Yes," Ryder replied, his voice firm. He was not only bound by the unspoken rule of the festival, no dish could be refused, but also driven by curiosity and the desire to push his own limits. He understood that if Earth was to earn respect in the Council, he had to prove that humans were not weak creatures in the eyes of the other civilizations. Whispers rose around him. Many delegates from other planets stopped, their gazes mixed with astonishment and concern. A delegate from the planet Rolos stepped forward and quietly said, "Ryder, don't be foolish. The eternal flame is not something humans can withstand. It's taken the lives of many representatives before. Your survival is the best proof of Earth's strength." but Ryder didn't let the warnings sway him. He smiled and stepped forward, reaching out to take the small bowl containing the fiery red liquid. The Zyndar watched him for a long moment, then spoke again. Very few live to tell the tale. You are not forced to do this. But if you choose to proceed, there will be no turning back. Ryder nodded. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and brought the bowl to his lips. As the liquid touched his tongue, it exploded like a fierce flame spreading throughout his mouth, throat, and body. A pain so intense it seemed to tear apart every cell in his body made him hesitate, but instead of retreating, he forced himself to swallow. The pain was not just physical. It was like a tidal wave crashing through Ryder's mind, pulling him into a pitch-black space where every fear and painful memory of his life came into sharp focus like ghosts. Ryder saw again the faces of the comrades he had lost in intergalactic battles, the bitter failures, and the constant loneliness that came with carrying the responsibility of an entire planet. Every time those dark memories rose, Ryder felt as though he was about to collapse. But he wouldn't let that happen. He focused on the present, on the reason he was here. He remembered the faces of children on Earth, hopeful for a peaceful future. He remembered his responsibility, not just as an ambassador but as a symbol of humanity's unbroken will. When he opened his eyes, sweat streamed down his face, his breath coming in short gasps, but the bowl in his hands was empty. An eerie silence enveloped the space around him. All eyes were on him, astonished, awed, and even a little fearful. A delegate whispered, "He really did it?" The Zyndar stared at Ryder, their eyes burning with intensity, then gave a slight bow, an uncommon gesture in their culture. "You have overcome the challenge of the eternal flame. Your soul is stronger than we thought. Take with you the respect of Zyndar for Earth." Ryder nodded in return, a faint but meaningful smile crossing his face. The pain still throbbed in his body, but he felt as though he had conquered not just a challenge, but a part of himself. The delegates around him began to whisper, and Ryder knew that his actions had not only been a personal trial but had opened a new door for how humanity would be viewed in the Galactic Alliance. He had proven that willpower, more than technology or strength, was the core element for Earth to assert its place among countless civilizations. The hall erupted like a storm of emotions after Ryder's bold act. The initial silence was quickly replaced by whispers of astonishment, and admiration spread like wildfire. The lights from thousands of recording devices across the media networks of other planets shone directly at Ryder, turning him into an undeniable center of attention. Every gaze in the conference, even from the most unfamiliar delegates, was fixed on him, the man who had done something no one had ever dared to even imagine. The Zyndar representative, the one who had prepared the eternal flame, stepped out from behind his booth and walked toward Ryder. His towering, imposing figure seemed to dim the very light around him. His stern face, marked with the carvings of time, looked deep into Ryder's eyes, as if attempting to explore the soul of the man who had just survived their most brutal challenge. "You are the first to survive the eternal flame," he said in a deep voice, each word echoing like a reverberation in a cavern. "We, the Zyndar, do not see you only as a powerful being, but as someone brave enough to embrace our culture. This is not just about physical strength, it is about the steadfastness of will. Earth may not be as weak as many think." Suddenly, applause broke out from behind him, starting with a delegate from the planet Asker, famous for its powerful warriors. The solitary clapping quickly turned into a rolling wave of applause throughout the hall. Delegates from other planets, those who had initially doubted or dismissed Earth, now stood up, openly expressing their admiration. Ryder bowed his head slightly, saying nothing, but his gaze spoke volumes, This was a victory not just for him but for all of humanity. After the event, Ryder was invited to the main table, reserved for the most distinguished leaders of the conference. Here, he sat among the top representatives of the most powerful planets in the Galactic Alliance. They began to engage with him, no longer keeping their aloof or dismissive attitude. A representative from the planet Corin, known for its advanced technology, spoke up, "I never thought someone from Earth would dare face the challenge of the Zyndar. How you survived makes me wonder if we've been underestimating humanity." Ryder smiled, sipping water to soothe the lingering heat in his body. "We humans are not perfect, but we know how to learn and face challenges. If we want to build a peaceful and prosperous galaxy, we need mutual respect and understanding." Ryder's words seemed to spark a wave of thought among those around him. A delegate from the planet Vorath, known for its relentless wars of conquest, spoke up, "You are right, Ryder. Perhaps our arrogance has prevented us from seeing the value in other species. Your actions today are a lesson not just for me, but for everyone here." Meanwhile, other ambassadors continued to discuss the event. They recounted every detail, from when Ryder first stepped up to the Zyndar booth, faced the eternal flame, to when he completed the dish without faltering. These stories quickly spread throughout the hall and reached the intergalactic media. For many, Ryder had become a symbol of courage and steadfastness, surpassing the ordinary limits of endurance. However, Ryder's actions did not end there. They opened up a deeper discussion on the importance of respecting and learning from each other between civilizations. A representative from the planet Ilaria, known for its art and philosophy, spoke up, "The eternal flame is not just a dish, but a test." Ryder surpassed that test not only with strength but with understanding and respect for the culture. That is something we all must learn. Ryder, sitting in a quiet corner after the ceremony, reflected on what had just transpired. He hadn't expected his actions to have such a profound impact. But above all, he knew that this was just the beginning. Earth's recognition wouldn't come from just one act, but from a long process of proving that humanity could contribute to the development and peace of the Galactic Alliance. Before leaving the hall, the Zyndar representative once again approached Ryder, handing him a small box containing a piece of firethorn resin, the key ingredient for the eternal flame. "Take this as a reminder," he said, "that you have overcome a challenge not just for yourself, but for your entire world. We, the Zyndar, will always honor Earth from this day forward." Ryder took the box, a feeling of relief and pride filling his mind. He knew that, although the challenge was over, the real journey had only just begun. The admiring glances and applause around him were clear proof that humanity could reach farther than they had ever imagined, not just through strength but through courage and profound understanding. The event of Ryder surviving the eternal flame dish quickly became the focal point not only of the Galactic Alliance Conference but also of interstellar media. News reports from the planet Zorath to Earth, from the icy planet Ylor to the Gamma Star System's space stations, all broadcasted the miracle of Earth. Video clips capturing the moment Ryder completed the dish, amid the astonished gazes of everyone, were aired billions of times across interplanetary media platforms, transforming him into a living symbol of courage and cultural respect. On Earth, public reaction was overwhelming. Ryder was not just a diplomatic ambassador, he had become a national icon, a hero embodying the spirit of humanity. Schools and research institutes worldwide held seminars, analyzing the event as a significant step toward positioning humanity on par with the more advanced civilizations in the galaxy. From politicians to scientists, everyone agreed that Ryder's act had ushered in a new era, one in which Earth would no longer be a marginalized planet in the interplanetary community. Meanwhile, At the Galactic Alliance Conference, the event sparked an unprecedented chain reaction. Invitations for cultural exchanges poured in from across the galaxy. Planets that had previously maintained limited trade relations with Earth were now eager to open dialogues on education, art, technology, and, particularly, cuisine. In response, the Earth government established a new organization called the Galactic Cultural Alliance to manage and promote interplanetary cooperative programs. On Zyndar, the eternal flame was no longer just a traditional dish, but had become a symbol of connection between civilizations. The Zyndar people, known for their conservative nature and pride, began to open up to other planets. A cultural exchange program between Earth and Zyndar was quickly established. Chefs from Earth were invited to share their cooking techniques and learn how to handle firethorn resin. In return, the Zyndar sent their experts to Earth, bringing not only knowledge but also ancient stories and legends. One of the highlights of the program was the Interstellar Fire Festival, held in Zyndar's capital. Ryder was invited as the guest of honor, and when he stepped onto the stage amidst the shimmering light of holographic performances, the entire auditorium erupted in applause and cheers. He gave a speech. "This journey is not just my story, but the story of all of us, those who dare to overcome fear and prejudice to seek understanding and connection. We are not isolated planets, we are part of a vast galaxy where each culture is a precious piece that forms the greater picture. Today, we have proven that our differences do not divide us, but enrich the bond between the stars." Not only the Zyndar, but other planets were also caught up in this new wave of connection. The planet Corin, renowned for its advanced technology, invited Earth to join a large interplanetary project, the construction of a cultural exchange space station located in the central orbital hub of the Alliance. This was not just a cultural center but a place where scientists, artists, and diplomats from across the galaxy could meet and collaborate. The space station, named Nova Nexus, became a symbol of cooperation beyond planetary borders. Meanwhile, on Ilaria, the cradle of philosophy and art, a renowned scholar wrote a book about Ryder's event, calling it the boundary-crossing moment. The book quickly became a key reference for interplanetary cultural studies, emphasizing that an individual's courage could create a ripple effect that changes an entire galaxy. However, not all reactions were positive. Some planets maintained a skeptical attitude, believing that the event was merely a PR stunt by Earth. They suggested that Ryder's survival of the eternal flame might have been due to luck or some hidden intervention. These opposing views sparked a wave of debate in interplanetary forums, but Ryder paid them no mind. He knew that change always faced resistance, and what mattered was continuing to act to prove Earth's true worth. As time passed, the eternal flame became a symbol of courage, mutual respect, and the connection between civilizations. Once a challenging dish, it was adapted to be more suitable for different species while maintaining its traditional essence. Chefs from Earth and Zyndar collaborated to create new versions, offering a culinary experience that blended the fiery flavors of firethorn with the sophistication of Earth's spices. The events that followed proved that Ryder's act was not just a memorable moment, but the beginning of a new era. Earth, once a planet of little attention in the galactic community, had now become a bridge between the stars, a place where civilizations could learn, grow, and build a shared future. Ryder, through a small yet meaningful act, had done what few had ever thought possible, turned differences into strength and transformed a dish into a symbol of hope and unity. The light from distant stars illuminated the grand hall where the Galactic Alliance Conference was being held. Ryder stood before the applause of thousands of representatives from various planets, not for his strength or technology, but for something far greater, the courage to overcome fear and prejudice. The eternal flame dish, once seen as a symbol of a harsh trial, had now become a symbol of connection. At space stations and distant planets, it was spoken of as proof of humanity's ability to transcend boundaries not just of the self, but of culture and understanding. When Ryder returned to Earth, he didn't bring back medals or titles, but new bonds, new doors opened for cultural exchanges between the stars. Yet amidst all of this, Ryder understood that this journey was only the beginning. In orbit around the central planet of the conference, the Nova Nexus project, an interplanetary cultural center, had already begun. And amidst the endless void of space, Ryder gazed up at the starry sky, thinking of the new journeys ahead, the dishes yet to be tasted, and the civilizations still waiting to be explored. Suddenly, a smile crossed his face as he remembered the words of a Zyndar ambassador, "It's not the food that makes the difference, but the way we share it together." Where will humanity's next steps take them in this vast galaxy? The answer is still shimmering in the light of the stars, where secrets and opportunities await.